Marty, first of all, thanks so much for sitting down today. Marty Kirshner, partner at Gray, Gray & Gray. They're the best at what they do. Give them a call if you need anything. Marty, so we're here, NPGA. You and I are going to kick some ass tonight at our joint dinner. Yep. I'm super excited about it. What are you looking forward to here at NPGA this week, this weekend, and stuff like that?
Well, first of all, we are going to kick ass this weekend.
Hell yeah.
No doubt about that. I'm looking forward to this year. I always enjoy this show. It's one of my favorite shows to go to every year. And honestly, what I'm looking forward to is seeing a lot of our clients out here. A lot of the reason we come out here is to support them and to let them know, we're here. We're not just behind the office calling around tax time, that we're staying up to date on what's going on in the industry. And so I want to see them. I'm obviously always looking to meet new people too. I'm looking forward to doing a little presentation tomorrow with our friends at Angus. And again, it's just being a familiar face and running into familiar people that, in this environment, we spend so much time talking to folks through computer screens and Zooms and Teams. And so this is a really good opportunity to see a lot of them in person. Been doing a lot of traveling all over the country lately, so it's nice to be able to do it in kind of one condensed place. So just looking forward to having a good time and seeing everybody. And again, just trying to get in front of as many people as we can.
I agree. Marty, I'm going to jump right into this. So you and I always talk about diversification, right? Mm-hmm. And there's things that we're doing with our businesses that are diversifying us, whether it's from our competitors or other people in, the industry that do what we do, or because we're also coincide that with growing our businesses, you got to be diversifying. Mm-hmm. So what are you guys doing at Gray, Gray & Gray right now to diversify yourselves to either monetize from it or make sure that you guys are ready for the next 5 to 10?
I appreciate that question. I didn't know you were going to ask it, so I gotta think a little bit here. But the way I look at it is we've been preaching diversification to our clients for years.
Yep.
I've been at this for 16 years now, and since I had come in, they were practicing diversification. Obviously, a lot of our clients had started out as home heating oil clients, and then we practiced, a lot of them started to venture into propane, and now they're diversifying into other things. So I can't imagine we would be in a situation where we would be preaching diversification without kind of doing it ourselves. So we've always been pretty diversified. We've always kind of made it clear to people we're not just your typical CPA firm. We're not the ones that you're just going to talk to at tax time, that you do some tax planning with, that you see once a year. So the diversification that we've done is really just over and above the base compliance work. Always have done benchmarking. We've done the surveys. I think what's really evolved over the last 10 years is just the consulting side of the business advisory, doing a lot of benchmarking, obviously a lot of M&A assistance. A lot of our clients are looking to buy companies, so we're always able to really help them identify whether this is a good target or not. We do valuation work, so we can kind of assess a value to them and say, all right, does this make sense, and is this worth? And we will model out the cash flows, like how much is it going to cost your business to really have to take this on. And the way we always market ourselves to our clients and to future clients is we're an extension of your management team. It's lonely at the top. Sometimes you just need someone to be able to bounce things off of. And a lot of times what we've seen in the industry is a lot of companies don't have that necessarily sophisticated internal financial function. Like, they got a good bookkeeper or a good controller that can really keep the books in shape, but that strategic mind isn't always there. And it's usually falling on the owner who, has an entrepreneurial mind, but again, needs to be able to bridge that with the financial mind. Obviously with this market and what we're seeing, and I'm sure everyone's seeing, there's a lot of companies going up for sale. So, we're obviously very well versed in marketing businesses for sale through our fuel exchange, and we've been pretty successful the past couple of years, really working in that space. There's so many companies in this industry. There's so many fish in the sea. There's obviously other very well reputable businesses that do that as well. And I think we all put our spin on it, and I think it's nice to have a little bit of friendly competition as well. I think that brings out the best in people. And so, I think that's really where we diversify ourselves. Like, how many CPAs can also act as investment bankers and advisors and doing all those other things that we do? Obviously, succession planning, exit planning, a lot of the stuff you're hearing about at the show today, that's all part of the core package of what we do and what we're about. It's always, our slogan's the power of more. So it's always, what can we do more for you? So that's kind of where we've diversified.
If we're not changing, if we're not innovating, we're dying,
Right.
I was on a podcast with someone the other day, and they asked me, you know, like when should you start ringing the alarm bells for a company in trouble or maybe headed, you know, for trouble. And I said, as soon as they're on the second page of Google, I'd be ringing the alarm bell, you know. And if they have bad reviews, their reputation management is up to speed and stuff like that.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you something, and you kind of touched on it. And the question really is, it's more of a discussion. But do you feel like, and maybe it's not just our industry, but just because we work in it so closely, do you feel like, is it because of a lack of talent or a lack of interest in people that are talented to come into the industry that the mid to high level companies that we are working with or are looking to work with have fucking zero or very small talented people in those C-level positions that need to be, or they are put in those positions because they're the only ones that are there and they're unqualified, and it's like you're a dispatcher and you're trying to be a CFO? Like, what? So can you just, I mean, do you run into that stuff? Because you're working pretty much exclusively with that top level, you know.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that, and I definitely appreciate the question. And you know, I don't want to disrespect anyone in their roles. But I think it's a fair point. Look, different sized businesses in this space have different needs. You know, a company that only has 2 or 3 trucks, maybe 1 million plus gallons, like they don't need a whole internal finance team to do that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not specifically, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about, let's come up to like the 10 million gallon companies more, you know, whether it's oil and propane combo or just propane, you know, like that's
when you get to that size, you really want to have a strong finance team in place. And what I'm seeing is, I see a combination of both. I see the companies that recognize the need for that expertise and are willing to pay for it. And that's the problem, is because those positions are not revenue generating positions. It's overhead, right? And so you have to be able to kind of step back, you know, swallow your profits for a little bit and invest in that function. You know, it's like, you know, take a company that even just grows from, you know, 25 employees up to 50 employees, right? Once you get from that 25 to the 50, you can no longer rely on not having an HR department, not having an IT department, not having a marketing department. Like that's, you know, and as a firm like ours, like when I started at Gray & Gray, we were only 50 people, and we got by with a lot less overhead needs. And now we're 150 people, and we have so many more core needs that we don't have the time. If we spent all the time doing that ourselves, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And so, yeah, look, there's situations now, and I think the economy has kind of helped accelerate this, where people are given titles that necessarily aren't totally commensurate with their skill set. Like, yeah, I've seen CFOs out there that are no better than a glorified bookkeeper, and I don't think anybody even wants to be called a bookkeeper anymore. And a lot of these companies, that's all they need is a bookkeeper. I think owners at some of these businesses are smart enough to be able to understand the books, just give us good information. And so, really, I think the companies that are the most successful have that strong CFO in place, because you need that strategic finance mind. You need that person that can go out and help negotiate with the banks when they need to, that can really help negotiate the deals. Like, yes, it's nice when I can come in and help some of those businesses that don't have that and backfill, but I love the ones that do, and then I'm able to help out even more on other areas where they can use the help. So yeah, you know, titles have definitely been diluted over the years, but there's still some really good, talented CFOs and controllers in this industry. And, you know, I also think that the loyal ones are the ones that work out the best, and the ones that will embrace technology, because there's so much opportunity in the technology side, both on the back office and the financial reporting. And in order to make those upgrades, you need a champion in that function to really be able to own that process and integrate it. Otherwise, it just becomes a sunk cost, or you're running it the way that you want to run it and not letting the technology do its thing. And so that's kind of where I sit on that side of the fence.
So we do a little bit of work on the talent search side, you know, whether it's, you know, marketing the brand to targets that we think would fill those roles that we're kind of talking about right now, and other roles, you know, whether it's like dispatch, controllers, you know, and stuff like that. Like, where do you find your good people? Where do you think the industry should go and find some people to start building up that inventory of just good fucking people, because I feel like we're really light on, like, especially company to company, the good ones. Like, you can identify like the key people, and then you're like, oh, man, that's all you got. Like, you're kind of in a spot where, like, you need more than that, you know?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're living in a world too where we accept mediocrity. So there's people that we keep because we just know that they're not that good at what they do, but it's just better to have them than to not have them at all. And, you know, we're not immune to that type of stuff too. I think any industry is going through that. Look, it's obviously a very mature industry. The propane space, the oil space, the heating space, we're all doing what we can to bring in young, talented people to get them engaged into the industry. And that's the hard part. Is you can get them in. It's keeping them engaged. A lot of what we're going to be talking about in our presentation tomorrow, and I don't mean to pitch it, is just talking about how you can make them feel like there's a path for them when they come in. A lot of these people come in, they start young, and we always say, you know, if your name's not on the door, what's your end game here? So when it comes, I mean, look, there's not going to be that many people now that want to drive for their entire 40-year career or be a technician for their entire 40-year career. That's just not the reality of the new world. There was the people who are retiring now that did that. They were happy with that. They were content, and it worked. And honestly, the world was a place where they could afford to make that kind of a living and succeed. Right now, it's really expensive to live. I mean, look, I'm a partner at a CPA firm. I do fine, right? But at the end of the day, like, if you told me what I was making now 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, I'm set for life. I'm barely getting by on daycare bills.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I hear you.
It's not easy. And so there's got to be a way to motivate them to come in, you know. And the other thing I've been telling people is you got to squeeze the juice out of what you have.
Sometimes you got to run light.
One of the analogies that I've really enjoyed, and I got to give some credit to Angus for this one because they kind of put it in my head, is we have these drivers, we have these technicians, neither of which are fully utilized throughout the course of a calendar year. You know, sometimes you lay off the drivers in the summer, and, you know, the technicians may not be as busy in the winter and whatnot. But what if you had someone or people that could do both, right? And the analogy I use is like Shohei Ohtani, the guy from the Angels. He's about to get the biggest contract in the history of baseball. He's going to get $50 million a year because he can do it all. He can pitch, he can hit, right? He can field. Like, so if you went to one of your drivers who's making, let's just say, $30 an hour, and now you said, I'm going to cross-train you to be a full-time service technician too, so that whenever there's that kind of work, we need it. And now I'm going to give you $45, $50 an hour because you're that much more valuable to that company and you're valuable to anyone else in the industry. If I can go hire someone that's cross-trained to do both, I'd overpay for the mood for them.
Hell yeah.
So
because the overhead for that person is the same. Yeah, the dollars per hour might go up, but their health insurance, their 401k, like all of that stuff stays the same.
Right.
And you don't have to add that additional body for all those other things.
And they're generate more revenues, and more importantly, you're not laying them off in the summer. You're keeping them busy throughout the year, which again keeps them stickier to the company. And you got to create different rungs in the ladder for them. Whether, you know, they could maybe never be an owner of the company, but maybe they could be a vice president. Maybe you can give them what we call a profits interest, which gives them a piece in the upside of the growth, so that if there's an event, they can cash in. Just different things to get them in and saying, I want to help grow this company and stay and treat it like it's my own. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But it's easier said than done, and it has been hard to find good young talent to come into this industry, and we got to figure out better ways to attract it.
All right, Marty, last one, and I always do this for everyone. Fire away. Don't go below the belt, but you can fire away. Any question you want from me, and I'll answer it.
Any question I want from you?
Mm-hmm.
What do people usually ask you? Give me an example.
It's all over the board, honestly. Like industry stuff, sometimes personal stuff, golf-related stuff. Don't ask me about my handicap because I'll never put that out there publicly because I sometimes cheat and lie and steal on that.
All right. You a Celtics fan? You think they're going to pull it off this year?
Oh, I mean, obviously. Tatum needs to share the ball a little more. I feel like he's making some decisions with the ball that, yes, an NBA all-star, all-NBA, you know, vote guy, you know, yes, you're going to get the fouls and you're going to, you know, get this, that, and the other thing. But they are the deepest team in the NBA as far as talent on the bench. as coming off the bench. Sorry, and just up and down the floor, just go up and down all night long, and you're gonna wear down the 6 or 7 on the other side of the court really quickly. And then that slowing the ball game down that Tatum likes to do occasionally, knock it off. Just keep pushing the ball down the floor.
I just want to see them be more mentally tough. I think the talent is there, the experience is there, but there's that killer instinct that you would see with the Kobes of the world, even the Kawhi Leonards and obviously Jordans, that I just want to see in Tatum. Like, I don't want him to even smile at the other team. Like, I want him to hate the other team. That's what Bird used to do, right? Like the hatred, and that's what fueled them. There's too much buddy shit. I just want to see him say, I don't care if you're boys outside of this shit, but when we're here, like, I'm here to kill you. And that's what I want to see. And then
I think that we want to see stuff like that. And I agree with you, because that's the killer mentality that you and I take to work every day.
Right.
And, so it separates the boys from the girls, right?
Well, at the end of the day, we got to support our own, right? And so it's doing whatever it takes to do that, and obviously making sure that we do it in a way that doesn't, not to say not to upset others, because you're always going to upset people intentionally or unintentionally.
That's why we do these things, also to piss people off.
But you just do the best you can with what you do, and you hope for the best, and you do things the right way. And as long as you do that, everything else falls into place. You got to just trust yourself.
I think that's a good way to end it. Marty, thanks, buddy, so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Good.